When you're making your offer, you have a couple of selling points. Remember I was talking about selling your service as the negotiation? So you want to sell your service, sell the benefit of working with you, which is, you're quick, convenient, you've got cash, there's no appraisal, you'll take it as is, they don't have to cut the grass, you'll take all the termites, all the mold, all of those things are services for that seller, okay? And that's what you're hyping up. That's what you're providing, and that's why they'll take the discount, okay? So you want to offer, obviously well below retail. This is our offer contract, and again, that's on that same page. You can grab that for download. All right. Now we're getting into the numbers. Sorry, I broke us a little bit earlier. So how to evaluate the property. Does everybody know what after repaired value means? Anybody? Okay, good. That's the way I like to explain it when we're first starting with partners and teaching is this is the best this house is going to be. Not if we move it across town and put it in a different neighborhood. No, it's where this house is, this is the best it's going to be. Okay. Unfortunately, some parts of every city, you got really houses that would be amazing, but because of the location, they are capped at a value, right? I think about Sean's Malcolm right now. It's an amazing house. It should easily be $250. If it were in Shandon, it would be probably $300,000. But where it was or where it is, it was capped at 180-ish. So that's your after repair value. So we got to be able to figure that out. We got to be able to get to that number confidently and stand on that number so that you can move from that number on everything else. Okay. So this is a pillar of the business. And you hear it called ARV or AVM sometimes, but ARV is what we use. All right. So we're going to run these numbers. This is one way of doing it. We're going to do a couple different ways. This is really detailed and kind of meaty. So take a picture of that. It's really hard to kind of talk through this one, but it covers a lot. And we're going to do this a couple different ways. All right. So you got your purchase cost. You got your carrying cost. So after repair value, once you find your after repair value, which is up here at the top, then you're going to take away the purchase cost. Remember, that's points, title, fees, whatever. Remember I said that was like about 10%. If you were to be specific, it's more like 8%, but 10 is a nice round number. Carrying costs. So how much per month are you holding? How many months are you going to hold it? Carrying costs include things like your insurance, your taxes, and your utility bills. Okay. Rehab costs. Do you have a bid for that? We're going to talk about that here in a minute. How do you get to that? If we're starting our draft budget, we are not going to have all of these numbers down to the penny. We're going to be in a ballpark, but we may not be even close on some of them, but that's why we lump them together and we go with our range, our ballpark numbers. Okay. Profit. How much you want to make after sell. We have a really great book that we send all of our deal partners called Profit First in Real Estate Investing. And this is where we talk about flipping for a profit. If you don't make profit, if you don't put profit in your math, then you won't make any profit and you won't be in business and you won't be able to serve any sellers, your family, whatever, whoever's counting on you, whether it be your relatives, your neighbors, your friends, your church. If you don't make profit in your business, then you can't do anything else. And for some reason that's outside of different circles, the word profit becomes like a negative thing for whatever reason. Like business, the world can't go around unless you make a profit. And if you don't pencil it in, put it in pen, run your numbers to make that profit, then you won't be around and you can't serve anyone else. Okay. So then you got the resale cost and then like a hedge of a percent of like an overage or, what do we call it? Miscellaneous stuff. Okay. So that would be your max offer if we take all that stuff. So we start there, then we take all that out, and that's our max offer. Okay. we're going to start filling in some of these blanks. Okay, what it could sell for. You can't run the numbers, of course, without it. So we already talked about it. Everything starts with there. I'm going to skip through that. So here's the rules for comping, and I'm going to pause the presentation, and we're going to jump in and we're going to do a couple comps. Y'all cool with that? Okay. So only use the same type property. What does that mean? Well, that means don't use a single family house with a townhome, and don't use a townhome with a mobile home. Okay. So same type property. The beds, baths, square footage, 1 or 2 stories, pools, these are things to consider as well. Beds, bedrooms, typically, if it's a 3-bedroom house, there's a lot of 3-bedroom houses, so you could probably just do 3 bedrooms. If you're looking at 4 bedrooms, there may not be a bunch of 4 bedrooms in that neighborhood, so you look at like 3 and 4. You might have to make adjustments, okay? If you're looking at a 1-bedroom house, that's the fewest that we have in our market is the 1 houses, single family houses. So you might take into consideration 1s and 2s, okay? Same with bathrooms. If you can get enough comps where you have the same amount, then stick with it. If there's not enough comps, deal with it. Add some, Square footage, we like to be about 250 square feet above, 250 square feet below, if we can get enough comps, okay? The 1 and 2 stories, it is important, and I just want to leave this in here. It's important in certain neighborhoods, right? It's important to people that are older. They're actually selling the 2 stories so they can go to a 1 story, okay? The tri-level homes, it's important. Tri-level, split level, those are very different from a single story or a normal 2 story, right? So tri-level, split level, we only comp those to each other if we can, because they typically comp lower. They sell lower. All right. Always use sold comps. Why? Yeah, this is what actually happened. Yeah. I've got some graphs at the end of today. If y'all are still awake at like 3 o'clock, I've got some graphs that show what people are actually paying based on asking price. And so COVID years, it was 101%. Now I think it's down like 96% or something like that. So we'll look at those graphs. But you don't look at the active because we don't know what's going to happen. It may never sell. It may sell for less or more. All right. It's the only true way to look at it. Okay. Use comps that are close to the subject. And we'll do this in a second. If you use Zillow or any other software, you don't want to cross over major roads. You don't want to go into a separate neighborhood. Like you've got the Summit and then you got Lake Carolina. Even though they might be close to each other, you don't want to go into the different neighborhood. Okay. One of the things we see a lot with new investors, new deal finders, new agents is they just look at a map and they use the 0.5 miles or the 1 mile radius feature. And if you draw a circle, oh yeah, that house is part of it, but the house is in a gated community and yours is not. It's totally separate, totally different. So you can't just rely on location. You got to get a detailed location. Okay. All right. So this is kind of how it goes. 4 to 6 if you can. Like I typically, if I can do 3, I'm happy. 2, I'm not satisfied with 2. And so we keep looking. If there's no comps, if you can't find any comps, you can only spread your neighborhood out so far, right? And you can only change the square, or like broaden the horizon or broaden the square footage so much before it becomes not relevant. So go back in time a little further. If you can do 6 months, that's the best. Do a year. If you got to do 18 months, 2 years, you're getting really far back. Okay. So if you go 2 years and you had to go 2 years because there's no comps, that comp from 2 years ago, how confident am I in it today? It's pretty shaky, right, Andy? I'm pretty shaky on it. 2023 was way different than 2024. So I'll use it. I'll look at it and I'll say, okay, well, this is nice to know. gives me a ballpark, but I can't rely on that for my business decisions, right? I might use it and use that as like a minimum, you know? Okay. Don't speculate. That's what we're getting at. Okay. Just use the data. All right. So we won't do the, this is good. So the affordability range, even though you have comps in a neighborhood, just because the math says it should sell or it's worth $350, if that neighborhood nothing has ever sold for more than $250, you have an affordability problem. Okay, you're out of range, because here's the reality: if it's people that pay $250 for a house, or people that are willing to pay $350 for a house, aren't willing to pay $350 in a house full of $250s. Okay. It's just, we were made to gather and to be in community, and the community is of like people, right? It's just how we gather. And so the person that's willing to pay $350 doesn't want to be in the neighborhood, in the community, with people that are paying $250. It's just what it is. So even though this house is bigger and comps for higher, the people that are going to buy in this $250 neighborhood, they probably will cap out at like $275, maybe $280, but you're not going to get a $350 out of it. Does that make sense? So what we had to do is we kind of get our comps, we get our ARV, and then we go back and double check. So we double check the actual market. Okay. So y'all want to run some comps real quick? So what we'll do is we'll run a couple comps, and we'll just keep going on this train with these properties as we go today. So you have your little handy dandy cheat sheet, and we'll run the comps. Well, let's run the comps first, and then I'll have you add some stuff to that cheat sheet. All right, let me see how the best to do this. This is going to be interesting. All right, let's go to Zillow. You can do Malcolm. We can go see if that appraiser was right or wrong.
Yeah. Oh, no, he'll the 13th person.
I'll fix this. All right, so let's look for something for sale. Now, I told you guys I would show you the way Zillow has changed. So they used to have, so I always remove the boundary. So they used to have a little button up here where you would go and find for sale by owner, and that was a great spot. And they would filter out all the other stuff. So that's gone now. So, that's the same. But what it used to be is you had to click a button to get them. Now it's default. So now everybody sees them. So you can still filter and get to them, but it's not as hidden, secret. Yeah. So it's still there, and you can still use it. But so now what does work though, which we won't any days, if you come down to the keywords, we really like just type in as is. You can do investor special, you can do handyman, you can do just investor, you can do words like that indicate distress, or the seller's not willing to do anything, the agent doesn't want to talk to you. It's like, just make your offer and let's go, right? So when you put that in there, and sometimes it's the house is great, and the seller's already done what they're going to do to it, and they don't want to hear you're complaining, right? It doesn't mean you're going to get a discount just because they put as is. They're just setting you up for setting the expectations. But probably 8 times out of 10, it's because the seller either can't, because they don't have the money, they don't have the know-how, or they're just not going to. So they're going to sell it at a discount. Okay. So let's look. I just did the as is. This one looks interesting. Pond frontage. You want to do this one? Or this one was price cut by $38,000. Let's do that one. Let's do this one. Yeah, y'all write it down. Write it down. All right. Can y'all see this okay? All right. So we need to run the comps on this. So I'm going to just look at the pictures to figure out if we're looking at a house that's already done or a house that's not. 4-bath, yeah. Looks like an enclosed. So there's a 2-car garage, but they enclose the right side, not the left side. I don't know. Koi pond. That's not bad. That's a lot of lights.
I threw those lights out a lot.
Yeah. So one thing, since we're in the flipping class today, I'm going to give you a never do. You can take this to the bank. Never line up your hardwood floors with straight lines. Where's contractors? Yes, no. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Never, ever. Yeah. I also don't understand why there's a barn door. Anyway, why are there so many lights so close together? What is that?
You can't shout.
It's like it's one. Yeah, it's like the insert. Yeah, it could be. It's an insert, but it's the insert with the roof. Yeah, it's got the jacuzzi. This is a nice one. They like lights. Look at this.
So around as you do. Send up to shoot.
Yes, there's a lot of HGTV watching.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's the hot tub.
What the perks? Was the hot tub when they weird the extra thing that they burn for the garage?
That's what I'm thinking. There's an outdoor grill. So looks like a lot of DIY additions and yeah. But so if I look at that, it's this one came up. Remember, I filtered as an as-is sale. So I just wanted to know, is this one that's perfect and they just don't want to hear your mess? Or is this one needs work and they're not willing to do it? What do y'all think? Needs work. Yeah, needs work. And they're just not going to hear. They don't want to hear your mess. All right. So this is the keyword, right? Sauna, bathtub. I'm trying to figure out, was that a basement? Sun renovation, hot tub. Charming barn doors.
Yeah. Nice door.
Well, you think this was ChatGPT?
Oh. Good. Yeah.
Serene, yeah. Oh my gosh. Somebody had their thesaurus out. All right. So we want to know, what is the ARV? So again, how good can it be? How good can we get this house to be? Then we have to work our way back. So this house doesn't give us anything other than its square foot, bed and bath, and then the location. So then we back up. We know it's 2339. Somebody, well, I'll put that in the calculator now. All right. And then, so with Zillow, you can get lost in here. So just use the plus button. And it was right there, I believe. Yeah. So you can do ARV. You can use the PropStream VIP, the Deal Finder, the MLS. If you have MLS access, you can use any of that to find this info. Zillow is just really quick and easy for us to do it here. So remember, we got to see our neighborhood, which is inside of this major road, obviously the interstate, and I would probably cut off this major road if I can. Do I?
This is the bottle of that. I do exactly what you're
Oh yeah. There's Malcolm. Exactly. Yeah. So let's see what's sold, and this is an important fact. If you do it this way, is you have to go clear that filter, otherwise it's still working. And then sold in the last 6 months. You see how it opened up so many?
Crazy in the 80s.
All right, so that one was,
Another in there.
or nice sell.
yeah, these are going to be much smaller. Yeah, 2,300. There's nothing in this area that's anywhere close to that size. So, which tells us that if we actually did this comping, this property would be way higher. But we have an affordability problem, right? So, let's go back a year just to get a few more comps. And I'm looking at just the highest price because I want to see the best comps. I don't want to see the ones that were trash. And I don't really have, guys, you can go back. Realtor.com holds the pictures. Zillow does not hold the pictures. But I don't really need to know just yet how it was renovated. I just need to know whether or not it was renovated. So I can do that by looking at the price per square foot. I got a 161 versus a 28. Which one was renovated? 161, right? So this one's been rented, it looks like. So disregard those pictures. All right, let's look at the 180. 117 a square foot. $88 a square foot. $96 per square foot. 147 a square foot. This one to me feels like that 147 is kind of in the ballpark, but there's 117. The one that was 160, I'm not even touching that. So let's look at this one on Realtor.com.
Sure, we're doing that.
Is this your hop? Both.
There we go. Is that look flipped?
Yep.
There you go. Yep. So this is, and so we go here and we can also see what it takes to sell at 140 a square foot. It's paint, it's laminate floors, the windows are old. Looks like a glazed tub maybe. New HVAC. They cut the grass. They did not do landscaping. Pretty easy to tell what it takes, right? Dishwasher was missing, but they did have a fridge, so the microwave's missing. Maybe they came in later. Okay, so that's what it takes to get your house over here to sell at 147, and our property was. Keep in mind, I'm doing this quickly. We would like to try to get a few comps, but there's not a whole lot here. So we would take what we have and average them together. I'm just going to go with 147 for now. 343. Do y'all think? No, not a chance. So this is that affordability problem that we were talking about. The math says, oh yeah, this thing's worth 343. And the agent and the seller, they all might think that that's what it's worth. But unfortunately, as an investor, and when you put your money on the line, you can't go with that sentiment. You got to go with what the data and the math says. And right now, we're looking at this house being for sale at $250, and it's 1,500 square feet, and it's beautiful. Those rope lights are interesting. But in this area, what was the highest that was sold? Like that 250 there is giving me a little heartburn. The highest in this little spot is 180. I wouldn't try to sell something for 250 and at all. Like if that one sells, great. But to me, how long has that been on the market? To me, they have an affordability problem.
Oh, yes.
Is it? No, it's not new construction. It's a renovation. It's been on for 8 days. So we'll see if it sells. We'll see. But I wouldn't run my numbers with that. You got to see how that looks. It's out of whack with the neighborhood.
It's so cool.
That's where I was going. 46. And they did it in 2 months.
A lot more room.
They got a lot of room.
Yeah.
They got a lot of room.
And they go just trying to see what's the highest in area.
Yeah, test it.
Yeah, I think they're well, or they did the math, and the math says 250, and they're going with the math because the math probably says it's 1,500 square feet. Is the math mathing?
I'm expecting.
It's 1,500 something. Yeah, there you go. So they're going with the math, which is not, if you got room, great. But I wouldn't go buying this property saying I have to sell for 250 to make my numbers work. Okay. All right. You all see how that works? Still want to do one more? Or you? That looks like a baby. Yeah. See, when I'm, if I'm scrolling through MLS, this is a bonus tip. If I'm looking in a neighborhood and I see a 227 and then I see a 99 and a 150 and a 145, I'm wondering, so this is a new construction. If that was not a new construction, I would be looking at this 150 and 145 saying they're already at a discount. This is something to go look at, right? It's a new construction, so it's kind of, it's different. And remember, and this gets me, and I hate this, you got to keep going back and putting in your filter. So this one here did say as is. And there's only one picture. And holy moly, it's been on the market for 260. I mean, it's worth a call, right? It's 216 days. That's worth picking up the phone and talking to the agent. Remember, when you get to talk to agents, you don't have to worry about the emotions. You can just get the facts, or at least try. Some agents are emotional, but you just try to get the facts out of them, and it's worth. Remember, trying to see if this could be one of our 15 offers. That's what we're trying to get.
You mentioned talk with the agent, and somebody should really be rope there on that. If they listed with an agent, that's who we have to talk to.
No. Oh. If you're not a licensed agent, it's their responsibility to pass you on to their agent. But they don't have to. They can go sell their home themselves. Their responsibility is to pay that agent, though, if they're under contract. And
I guess this question is out of very specific situation. They don't have to use their so I can say, now they're an agent. So now I feel I can get it.
Yeah, you can keep talking to them. And it's all them now figuring out how to pay the agent or whatever. But yeah, as an agent, I am licensed. I think there's some kind of rule. Is there an agent here? I don't know. You probably can't talk to a seller. I think part of being an agent, you have to go to the agent. I'm sure there's some kind of. Yeah, I think it would be ethically, it'd be a little bit weird. Yeah, ethically, yeah. I just wouldn't, I guess, if you're a licensed agent. Even though I don't practice as an agent, it gets a little bit like...
Yeah. Under the state neighborhood, even if you are
Yeah.
but I just want to place property unless
Yeah.
their incision is so.
Yeah. Yeah. And list it. Yeah. Okay. So again, this would be worth a call to this agent or this seller because it's been out there for a long time and it has not changed.
Shane underneath it.
Holding strong.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's running our comps using the online. So let me actually, while we're here, and I might be skipping the PowerPoint, so I might have to go back and we'll figure that out in a minute. But let me find another house that has some pictures. Ooh, this one looks interesting. Oh, recently updated. So this is that person that they updated it, but they, so they don't want to do anymore. They're just setting the expectation. Don't come in asking for a bunch of repairs. Okay. So it's not really a good flip property. We don't want to go try to get this one. There's probably not enough meat on the bone. I'm just assuming. I didn't look, obviously. This one looks potential because it's 1,700 square feet and they're only selling for 150. So let's look at this one. Pull out your condition sheet. And we're going to look through the pictures and y'all let's see what we come up with. Do I? Yeah, okay. All right, you can't tell, but that carpet's dirty. That's interesting. All right. Good, great, okay, poor, tear down. Houses in this condition have outdated kitchens and baths. Most of the major systems are in good condition, but some repairs are needed for them to work perfectly. No structural damage or water damage. I could get on board with that. What do y'all think? Is that a consensus? Yeah. All right. So part of this section of finding our deals and being able to then fund the deals, which we're going to next, is our draft budget. And so we create our draft budget by using our general terms, our general condition, and then our general rehab budget. And so, it's not on here. So, that's right. You have to write it in. Sorry. It's in our Excel spreadsheet at the office. All right. If it's in great condition, in order to go in and paint the interior and put new flooring down, whether it's carpet, LVP, whatever, those two together, it's $10 a square foot. Okay? If this property is in great condition, like no defects whatsoever, you could probably, which you'll never get one of these, I'm just setting, we got to start somewhere. It's probably $5 a square foot to get it ready to sell. Okay? If it's in good condition, so no major defects, everything's in good condition, kitchens and baths just need updating, but no major repairs. If it's in that 7 range, which we see, like this is a well taken care of home, but it's been lived in, maybe updated 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you're looking at somewhere around $25 to $30 a square foot. Okay? The okay house, which is that house right there, like you said, the roof. So there's at least one major system that we're going to fix. And then you're also going to probably looking at countertops and some cabinets, vanities, stuff like that. A little bit more of a lift. That's going to be somewhere in that 40 range, $40 a square foot. And typically I would say like 40 to 50, I guess, if you give it a range. And then you come down to the pour, This house is basically you're gutting everything. You're going to take all the sheetrock off. You're going to start from scratch. It's going to be Malcolm. Which, how many square feet was Malcolm? 1160.
Or Allen's updates was like to shut you off.
That's right. And rehab was 107.
We're on 08.
Yeah, it was this morning. It was 107.
Yeah.
So 1200 divided by 08. Did I do that right? No, other way around. $90 a square foot. Yeah.
I mean, you do with dirt as a roof.
Dirt to roof. Everything.
The entire floor.
And so, yeah, and that house was just shy. I mean, the only reason it wasn't a new build is because the brick outside was still there, and the framing on the inside, most of it, some of it. So, so if it's a gut job, it's poor. You're looking at typically we say it's somewhere between 75 and then 90 is the max. And how do we know these numbers? Because we do these flips, and we go back and we look at our math, and I'll show y'all the system, Flipper Force. But we go back and we look, and we know that job was roof to floor, roof to dirt. And so we know that that's what it costs. And so we use that as our draft budgeting. And so we can go, we can build and we can move faster, and we can hone our skills and get good deals faster. So then you go down to the tear down. If you physically actually tear it down, new construction right now, you can, if you know, the taps and stuff are still there, I would say it's $130 a square foot. If you're just dirt, you're probably $140 a square foot. If you actually can leave some of the structure, you're looking at that one, which was like 90 to 110 a square foot renovation. Okay. Does that make sense what I'm talking about there? How we use this sheet? Okay. Does everybody have one? Did you get one? Okay. So we are able to look at these properties, and right now, this house, we just built a budget. It's $1,742, and where did it go? It is $1,742 times, what did we say this one was good? No, okay. So 40. So $70,000 renovation budget, round up, make it 70, make it 75. I don't care. This is a draft, okay? This is the whole point of this is to get you started, get the ball rolling, so that now you can start making your offer. You can look in the ballpark. Is this seller willing to negotiate? So we don't spend days and days and dollars hiring inspectors and getting contractors out there. We don't have to do all that if they're not even in the ballpark of us saying 75 or 80, whatever. This is to get you into that ballpark. Any questions? No? Y'all got it? It's a smart crew. Y'all are so smart. Does that help? Would that make it easier to make an offer? Good. All right. Let's go. Who wants to talk about money? Yes? No? Nobody? All right, good. I'm glad somebody does. Somebody wants to talk about money. All right, so the next key that we're going to go through is actually funding the deals, okay? And part of funding the deal is a little bit of what we, it's not just going, bless you. It's not just going to the bank and asking for money. We can't just roll up to the hard money lender or safe federal credit union and say, we want money to buy this house and renovate it, can we? We got to have a few things before we get there, okay? And so that's what we want to make sure that we have that before we get there, and that we are confident in that before we get there. So if you're going to spend time running these numbers, and then you're going to start chasing this deal a little bit harder, right, and try to get the funding, you want to make sure that you put this stuff in your package. You have it ready. You're ready to give it to the lender. You're ready to show it to them so that you have the best chance of actually getting it funded if need be, right? So let me just go through this part. So we have different types of capital that we're going to talk about, but also we're going to talk about the need for inspections. What does a scope of work look like? I'll go through kind of a new, using AI, an awesome way to create your scope of work and keep track of your business or your construction while you're going through. So I'm going to show you all that in a minute. All right. So we've just looked at the house. We were on Zillow. We ran the numbers. That house said, what was it? $75,000 repair addendum or repair cost for us. We told the agent, hey, we're thinking we can pay $75,000 for the house because we put them all together. We're all in at $150 and we think we could sell it $250, right? Just follow me here. They say yes. All right. Well, let's go. We're under contract. We're going to start moving down this line. We've got to do our due diligence. Now, due diligence, when you're under contract, you have 10 days to do due diligence, typically, or 3, whatever you negotiate. That's a very specific timeline. That doesn't mean that you have to wait to do your due diligence until you are under contract. There's things that you could already do. We looked at the pictures and said, oh, that roof needs to be replaced. That's due diligence, right? That's looking at the property, evaluating the quality, evaluating the need for repairs, for further inspections, the neighborhood, that is all due diligence, okay? We're not just doing the math and saying, oh, that's our house, let's do it. There's a lot of things that go into these flips, and we got to be prepared to investigate and, sometimes pivot and change and make decisions from that, okay? So, of course, inside, outside, painting, we know all this already, right? So this stuff is there. We already know it. Let's put it in the budget. Let's build it, okay? We're going down this road. Is the kitchen a full reno or just needs update? HVAC, we're going to keep it. Does it work? Whatever. So here's how we can go through and actually perform all of our due diligence. We have a lot of resources, you guys. I don't know if you actually realize how much you have at your fingertips, especially just right here in your phone, how much work you can do for your business to buy this property and to make good decisions. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't use the tools at their fingertips to make good decisions. We could show you one of those today. There's a couple on the MLS right now where someone had bought them and they are now for sale because that person, I'm assuming they just didn't use their tools and they made bad decisions. Okay. Do I?
Deceit.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I was thinking of. So, Google the address. Why are we going to do that? Who just said somebody was shot in the front yard of one of the houses, right? If you Google the address, you'll find out if somebody was shot in the front yard, or at least you'll find out if something's happening, right? If there's knock on wood, a drug house or something. Those things will come up in just a Google search. Make it part of the process. Just type it in Google. Zillow research clustering, that's kind of what we just did with the affordability kind of index, right? So you kind of look at the cluster, what's happening around that little area. Of course, the comps, software, days on market. You can get from, actually now you can ask Google, you can ask any AI, what is the days on market per city, the state or whatever. They're pulling all that data now. You don't even have to get an agent. Of course, look at the pictures, your rehab estimate based on the math we just did here. Use that and build from that. Flood zone, FEMA. I just Google it, FEMA flood map, and you just type the address in and it tells you if it's flood zone. Okay, you'll find that out before you close because your insurance company is going to do that, but you don't want to get all the way to close and then find out it's in the flood zone. Okay, because you you want to know that. You may not want to buy it. Of course, your insurance, neighborhood scout. You can basically anybody in the neighborhood, or you can be in the neighborhood, kind of go at different times of day. You can check it out. Or you can ask the neighbors. It's always good. You can go to the, is it neighborhood or neighbors app? One of those, neighborhood. Yeah. Or your Ring camera has a neighborhood app. You could look next door. That's what I was thinking. So you can go and look and see what's happening in that neighborhood, right? Especially if you're just getting started in a new neighborhood, new area, or you're doing these outside of where you live. This is really helpful. Let's go, of course, MLS stuff. Yeah, calling people. Did y'all know you can pick up the phone and ask people questions? It's just amazing. It's really amazing. No one likes to do it anymore. But if you call the agent, call a property manager. If you see a property for rent in that neighborhood, call them and ask, how's the neighborhood? How's the things? Don't call the property manager as if you want to rent it, because they're not going to tell you the truth. Call as a landlord thinking about giving them your property. Okay? Because then they'll actually tell you, well, this neighborhood's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We can expect this much rent, that kind of stuff. Of course, inspections, contractors, bids, estimates, and then your title search. Typically this is the very end, and your attorney's going to do that, or your title company's going to do that. You don't need to really worry about that up front, other than we like to ask, is there anyone else that's on title? Is there anything that would, keep us from closing this? And you can look on the county website. You can look at that to figure that out. But yeah, we don't actually do a full title search until closing time.
Thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.